Greetings, current and future subscribers. Welcome to this experiment, and I know I'm starting a bit early, but this is purely experimental. If anybody watches it, that's fine. That's great. I hope you enjoy it. Let me try and explain what I'm doing here. Oh, hang on a second. Just want to change something. Yeah, here we go. Sorry. Oh grief, a couple of days ago I did a live stream where I ran 2 accounts simultaneously. The downside to that was, while it worked, you could only see the point of view of one of the accounts. And what I was doing, I was running one account on Steam on Linux, and I was running another account on my iPad. So what I've done, I found out there was a way I could mirror my iPad to Linux with a program called UXplay, which is, by the way, free. So if you can see, that's my iPad running one account, and you should be able to see that on the screen at the same time. If I, hang on, yeah, you can see, hopefully, that the two of them are moving more or less in sync. And so what I'm doing here is I am just making sure that everything works, that I don't have any particular issues, that the system is capable of supporting it without having a minor conniption fit, that it will stream at the resolution I want. That sort of thing. So let's give this a try, and in theory the audio from the iPad is completely switched off, so I shouldn't be able to hear anything from the iPad. However, I can hear Luthien there honking, which is what I want. So all sound is coming through just from this main screen here. So the whole point is you can actually see everything that I'm doing, like that, I hope. I just need to make sure that everybody's clicked on everything. I have never heard of the Peking Postman. Huh. Alright. So this isn't going to be a definitive run. This is just me messing around. Just to see how it all works out. I am surprised. There's only a very slight lag between the iPad screen and the mirrored screen. Let me just have a quick look here. Let's have a little look. Yeah, in fact, there's more of a lag between the two accounts than there is between the mirrored screens, which is good. I don't know how watchable this is. If somebody comes along and is watching it, have a comment in chat. See how it works for you. Or if you're watching it at a later time, leave a comment. Tell me how well it works. I'm actually quite surprised it's working as well as it is. Yeah, you can see the lag between the two accounts. That is not because of the mirroring system. That is actually because of the way that Sky works. there's a lag between two accounts, even if they're, right on top of each other, which these two are. And so I'm just looking around to make sure that the system's not overloaded, that I'm not overheating, things like that. Now this is the only game really where it applies at the moment, but the idea that I can mirror iPad to my Linux system means I could much more easily stream stuff from the iPad to YouTube or Twitch or wherever whatever it is I want to do. That's an interesting perspective, I must admit. I'm actually very impressed that it's working as well as it is. It is a little confusing because, I've got the OBS screen, I've got the mirrored screen. There's a lot going on for me to try and keep track of. But it is working surprisingly well. The only thing I really... Yeah, this is part of it. Because I'm running that second screen, you can actually see that I tend to leave on the friendship tree. Which can be useful if I'm piggybacking. Then leaving the friendship tree up means I can reactivate a friendship candle if it goes out. So I'm just doing my usual stuff here. So you can actually see right now I'm doing the music sheet challenge with Baron. And you can see what Luthien sees while she's doing it. Oh, it's a different tune today. Of course it would be, it's Monday. I actually really don't like the music sheet challenge, but it's a good source of light. So I know someone's in chat at the moment, but I can't spare the time to look at it. Give me a couple of minutes and I'll take a look. Oops, missed a few notes. Oh, hello Thivia. How are you doing? So now we kind of swap over, because now I have to run Luthien through the same thing. So now you get to see on the main screen, and I get to see what I hear. Oh, that's interesting. When the other account's doing the challenge, you can't hear what they're playing. Huh. But I think you can see her doing it. Which I can't at the moment because I'm having to look down and focus on the iPad screen. Yeah, no, you can't hear it at all. I suppose that makes sense. Now, I could, if I turned the sound up on the iPad, I could actually hear both, but that strikes me as being possibly a bit confusing, because then you'll hear the game sounds from both accounts, and they'll be out of sync, or there's a danger that they would be. So if you hear, the music would be out of sync with the music, and I imagine that would be disconcerting to say the least. Yeah. I don't normally get to see both at once like this. It's actually kind of interesting. For me. Yeah, I'm actually, I normally, when I play like this, I actually have the audio for the iPad sort of in the background, so I get cues from that. But I don't want, if there's, like I say, if there's music playing on the main screen, the main account, Baron, and if there's the same music playing on the secondary account, because of the lag between the two, and there is a distinct lag, it's not huge. That would be discordant, I think. Yeah, you can see I've done it again. I've left the friendship tree up. So I suppose I'm going to have to start learning a slightly different way of doing things. What time is it? It's 12:10. So... Oh, that's interesting. No, okay. I thought I saw lag there, but I'm still getting 60 frames a second, which I've got it set for. And... the upload rate is the same, because obviously as far as it's concerned it's just a screen. This is actually quite cool. At least I think it is. Let's go and see what Grandma's is like today. I imagine we're going to be getting our... Yeah, so now we've both got them going in the same direction, and I think you can see the lag. Yes, yeah, there's a lag between the accounts, and that is because of the server. That's a server-side lag rather than my end. Let's see. The system's not overstressed. I mean, it's definitely, I think, busier than usual, but not too bad. It's not overheating. I almost don't know where to look. Oh, don't you just hate it when that happens? Oh, thank you. Yeah, CPU isn't being massively hammered. Although I do have a couple of threads which are fairly extensively being used. Yeah, I've got two of them which are peaking at 100%. I'm assuming one is actually for the game, and one is for, well, I think it's probably for streaming, but it could be mirroring. But yeah, I must admit, I am, and I'm going to probably be repeating this. It is slightly amazing to me that it's actually working as well as it is. Of course, the danger is the way that the UX Play works is it basically says to Apple, oh, I'm Apple. Is it Apple Play? Yeah. Apple Play is still supported by Apple, but they recently implemented Apple Play 2, and UX Play doesn't support that at present. So hopefully Apple doesn't get rid of Apple Play 2. Oh, let's go over the top. Yeah. Oops. Oh, no, there we go. Everything's still working. Well, this does open up the possibility. I mean, a possibility of streaming from my iPad. I think I could actually stream directly from the iPad, but that would make management of it a little harder, and it would make the video section like this and me narrating somewhat harder. Oh, wow. I don't know whether you saw that. There was some definite stagger. I wonder if it shows up on... Yes, it did. There you go. Yeah, you could see the stagger there. Don't mind if that's only occasional. Actually, do you know what? I really don't know why I'm going here. It's only 12:15. Whatever. Gives me a chance to mess around. Yeah, but that stutter we saw a couple of minutes ago, that was on my side. That wasn't a upload side thing. Ah, I wonder if it could be a network thing. Because these two computers, basically the streaming, as I understand it, the streaming is actually occurring over my local area network. In other words, they're both connected to a router. Now, in principle, that should be fine, because iPad and computer should be acting like a little local area network, and the router should have more than enough bandwidth for that. Did I forget something? Wouldn't be surprised trying to do all these things at once. Oh, no, I didn't. Sorry. Funny thing is, last time I did an experimental, it was No Man's Sky, and I was just checking to see if I could stream at the maximum resolution of my widescreen, but instead of streaming it at 60 frames a second, 30 frames a second, see if it made any difference and impact on the system. Because if I streamed 3440 by 1440 at 60 frames a second, it actually impacted performance of the game. Whereas if I cut that frame rate in half, the game would run at 60 frames a second smoothly. So, always useful to know these things. Whoops, sorry. Bashed my own microphone. What am I going to do? Grandma's is acting up anyway these days. I know it's being reported on Facebook that Grandma's is having connection issues. It is. It's just that they are actually... It's always. I say it's not uncommon. It isn't actually uncommon for there to be network connection issues at Grandma's. You see it... I won't say it's not common. I mean, it's common now because of server issues that have not yet been properly resolved, but I've seen it pretty much on and off, oh grief, for months. The trick is, if you're having connection problems at Grandma's, either put up with it, which means you might miss some light, or just get away from Grandma's. And even without resetting or restarting, once you get away from Grandma's, in fact, once you get out of the ancestors table, which is where Grandma hands out food, then the connection problems go down. And I don't know whether it's because, well, I say I don't know. It seems that that particular problem is associated with other players being present at the same time. I don't know if... It's very hard to check. I'm not sure I've had the problem with 2 accounts and just those 2 accounts present in Grandma's, because it's very rare that you're alone at Grandma's. So, but as I say, once you exit the immediate vicinity of the ancestors table, it does seem to clear up, and it's certainly, for me at least, has always cleared up. By the time I get home, and then the problem doesn't recur. I'll give it a try in a minute. I've got time to polish off this region. I've got more people watching now than I did for my regularly scheduled live stream this morning. What is it about the word experimental in the title? Oh, and 2 people just left. What time? Oh, I got loads. I think I'm not going to bother with Grandma's, just not at this point. I'm going to continue with the very abbreviated candle run. I doubt I'll be doing this for more than an hour. Yeah. Oh, in case anybody's wondering, the iPad is running at 30 frames a second. I can actually run nominally at 60 frames. I can run Sky at 60 frames a second on the iPad. It tends to overheat, if you can believe that. In fact, it overheats to the point that it will disable charging. So I don't run Sky on the iPad any faster than 30 frames a second. And it does get hot. You can actually feel the tablet getting hot at 60 frames a second on the iPad. Oh, I went to the wrong place. Should have known. Might as well head back this way. I have to admit, if I just leave the iPad in sort of camera follow mode, it actually works moderately well. I don't have to fiddle around too much to get a halfway decent view of what's going on from the second account's point of view. And as I have pointed out before, but I will reiterate, there's nothing in that game company's code of conduct that says you can't have more than one account. And the reason I mentioned that is because, very early in playing the game, I was actually told that what I was doing with the two accounts might be in violation of terms of service. And as I found out when I was reading the end user license agreement in terms of service, which of course I streamed, it's not in violation of the terms of service. That game company does actually have in their FAQ, and again I've read this and streamed it, what their policy is on multiple accounts. They don't say you can't run multiple accounts. What they say is we recommend that you don't because it might corrupt, essentially, one account. They seem to be trying to say that one account might cause data errors in other accounts, but they never actually say no, that's in violation of our terms of service, and all the usual legalistic. So this is perfectly allowable. They certainly never say that you can't run two at once. Of course, they may change that, but I think there would be considerable irritation if they were to do so. 'Cause any number of people have more than one account, especially people who run wingless. And while running wingless as I am here isn't exactly a major part of the game, there's a lot of people that do run a wingless account. Right, where am I going? I've got 5 minutes to Grand Mars. I guess I could make my way there. See how that works. Yeah, why not? If we're gonna look at worst case. Let's have a look at a worst case scenario. Let's see how it responds when the network errors inevitably show up at Grand Mars. Who remembers where the Peking Postman is? I don't. Well, I think it's safe to say that this is something I could do on a regular basis. While the CPU is definitely busier than normal, it's not unacceptable. Okay, so now we've got 10 minutes to wait. So, alright, I'm going to do my usual at this point. I am going to take a quick bathroom break, and I'll be back. And we'll see what happens. And if you're unfamiliar, what I normally do is I switch off the camera for this point. If I can remember, I've now got 4 separate inputs for my OBS. And now I'm having to sort of sort between and figure out which one is which. Right, I will be back in a couple of minutes and see what happens. And I'm back. And yeah, one thing I had not anticipated is that if I move this, you can see the screen rotate. That's kind of amusing. Yep, and it just got mirrored live. Yeah, when we're not moving around, the CPU relaxes. I'm still curious. There's one thread. It keeps popping up to 100%. I mean, the good news is that particular thread is being scattered around the CPUs, so that's nice. It's not staying around and overheating any one given CPU core. Or half a CPU core, I suppose I should say. So I think I can close down my system metrics here. GPU is hardly being touched, which is interesting. Mind you, I normally run, at 60 frames a second. My GPU is currently running at 33%, which is barely ticking over. It gets a bit more use. It goes up to about 70% if I run at 180 frames a second, but I don't think I need that screen, which I wasn't showing anyway. Yeah, I saw that as well, Thivia. It says one watching now, and I assume that's me, because obviously I have this being displayed. And that's mostly so that I can see chat. But I'm actually going to pop out chat so I got a better view of it. Yep, there we go. And if I now refresh this... Oh wow, yeah, something's being quite hammered. I wonder what my internet usage is here. Oh, that's better. I can now read chat much more easily. From what I'm seeing on the screen, everything seems to be running pretty smoothly. How's it for you, Thivia? The only thing I can't tell is how the audio is. But given that that's the same settings, it shouldn't be any different. But I don't know, so if you can let me know if there's any difference there, I would appreciate it. So the trigger point, oh good. The trigger point for the network connection bug appears to be when the event actually starts. Excuse me. That is when Grandma actually starts giving out whatever the food balls? I'm not sure what they're called actually. Anyway, when Grandma starts handing out the food balls and the event actually gets going, that's typically when you start getting the network problems. And the thing to remember is, if anybody's watching this later, it's not local. It's not your problem. It's server side. And the reason I say that is because so I'm running two accounts, as we know. And say I might get a network error on one screen, but I won't get it on the other one. If it was my side, I would expect the network errors to occur simultaneously. Let's see how this goes. Oh. Here's a trick for you. If you're running two accounts like this at Grandma's, it is often best if you have one piggybacked. That way you can move around. and you can both collect the light at the same time. In fact, it's best to get the piggyback situation sorted out before the event starts, because if you're hand in hand, you will get split up. So, yeah, there's a tip for you. I'm slightly amazed I haven't had a network connection issue. I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is it 6 or 7 players here? 6 players. 7 players. So we've got basically all of us are running on a server here that is only one short of being maxed out. And yet, so far, no immediate problems. I was getting problems early this morning. I'll be staggered if we get through this without a network connection. In a way, I kind of hope I do. That way I can show you that you don't have to reset, you don't have to restart. It's irritating, but if if it does happen, I'll show you what happens. Essentially, you just keep clicking retry, and you should be okay. Apparently, you can fail to pick up some light. Yeah, here we go. So right now, you'll notice I got a server error for Baron's account, but Luthien's account is not having it. Now, if it was on my side, if it was a problem with my local network, I would expect that to be on both screens simultaneously. And yet, Luthien has not yet had the problem. Oops, didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry, Luthien. I don't know about anybody else, but I do find, so I've got these two characters here, Baron and Luthien, and I tend to think of them as being different people with somewhat different personalities, and it's sort of automatic. So if I accidentally drop Luthien, I kind of feel sorry. And I try and dress them differently as well, so I don't do twinning or anything daft like that. I think that looks weird, frankly. And of course, Luthien being wingless helps. No, I definitely didn't want to do that. Did it again. I'm sorry, Luthien, I really am. Oh, and in case anybody's wondering, why Baron and Luthien? It's because... it's from Tolkien, the Silmarillion, the story of Beren and Luthien. It's one of the big romantic episodes in the Silmarillion. Now, in the Silmarillion, of course, Luthien was elven, and Beren was a mortal man. So we got a situation a bit like Aragorn and Arwen. By the way, if anybody wants to make a movie, instead of rehashing the whole Lord of the Rings thing, which they're doing, the story of Beren and Luthien would make a very good movie if it was done properly. But so the interesting thing is, Beren in the game, I apologize, Beren in the Silmarillion is a man, and you may be thinking, well, wait a second. Luthien's companion, as I'm playing them, is female, or at least I think of her as being female. Well, here's something you should know. Yes, as far as Tolkien was concerned, Beren is a man's name. In reality, Beren is a female name. It's actually Turkish. in origin. So something to consider. I must admit, I wonder if Tolkien knew that. I mean, Tolkien was an extremely well-educated person. He was a linguist, obviously. Well, no, you may not know that. No, Tolkien was a linguist. And as I kind of recall, he actually invented an elven language, or invented a language, and then arguably decided there should be books to go along with it. Actually, seeing as I'm talking about Tolkien, and it's always useful to have something talking about, I don't know if people know it, but The Hobbit, which was Tolkien's first book, he basically made it up as he went along. I think he made it up for his children, and he literally just made the whole thing up as he went along. And you can actually see this. Now, to a certain extent, everything flows moderately well. The exception is the final bit, the chapter known as the Battle of the Five Armies. And he obviously wanted to bring the story to a close, but at that particular point, he didn't have a good way of doing it. So he obviously wanted to have some kind of climactic battle. The problem was, he didn't have an underlying plot line throughout The Hobbit that would really lend itself to this big battle at the end of the book. So he has to commit what is arguably a cardinal sin for writers. And the beginning of the first chapter of the Battle of the Five Armies, has this huge expository lump where he basically fills in the backstory. That's a huge no-no. You don't do that. So, the thing is, when he started to write The Lord of the Rings, and if you've read both books, not the movies, if you've read the books, it's fairly clear that the start of the Lord of the Rings trilogy is very much like The Hobbit, in tone and in some of its silliness. The inclusion, for example, of Tom Bombadil is a grating point, I always found. It didn't make sense with the rest of the trilogy. Well, the thing is, he basically started out writing the Lord of the Rings trilogy much as he'd started out writing The Hobbit. That's why there's this similarity. And at some point he realized it wasn't going to work. So he had to sit down, essentially, and plan, to some extent at least, the rest of the trilogy. And in the process, it took on quite a different tone. And that's the reason why the beginning of The Lord of the Rings is more like The Hobbit, and the rest of the trilogy is quite different. The reason I'm not hanging around is because you never get any light from the final events there. So I'm going to go home. And hi, Alex. And I'm going to run the turtle. This was it's funny. It doesn't show more than one person watching. So I have no idea how many people are watching this. So, brief explanation for any newcomers. This started out as an experimental stream, because I found out how to. Good afternoon for me. I found out how to mirror my iPad onto my Linux system, so that I could display the point of view of two different accounts simultaneously. So that's what you're seeing on the screen right now. In the bottom left-hand corner, that's my iPad. And so what I'm doing is I'm basically making sure everything actually works. And so far, apart from one Bobble, which was self-resolving, it's been working very well. And I should reiterate that if you see that there is an apparent lag between the iPad display, I'll come back for that. Yeah, if there's a lag between the iPad display and the main screen, it's not actually my fault. That is actually the server side. I run Cinnamon, which is an Ubuntu, based on Ubuntu. So I run Cinnamon and Mint. Mostly because my son recommended it when we were putting the system together. I didn't want to run Windows, and he's in the family, well, between the two of us, the Linux expert, and he recommended Cinnamon and Mint. So that's what I run. And it's been pretty good. I like it just fine. I'm not a Linux expert by any means, but if you have questions, somebody's probably answered them. So I am running, to do the screen mirroring, I'm running UX Player, and I found that yesterday, I think. And to get it all installed, I just ran I went with the instructions that I found online, and works fine. I didn't want to run Windows because there's several reasons. One, Windows is full license is expensive. I didn't want to spend the money. And two, I spent I've at various times I've worked on systems running Windows since Windows 3.11, and I get quite irritated by Windows. In fact, when I had the chance, I switched over to OS X many years ago for home systems, and I still like OS X, but yeah, there was never any way I was going to run Windows for this. I mean, at some point I might set up a dual boot, but I haven't needed to. Everything I want to do, I've been able to do with Linux. Yeah, I've never used a Raspberry Pi. I would say if you're already running Windows, stick with it, and stick with Windows, but make it a dual boot system. Install a second hard drive if you can. That's what I would do. But no, Windows is because I not only worked with it with Windows as a systems engineer, but also as a software engineer. In fact, rather amusingly, one place I was working, I was the expert for the Windows Software Developers Kit and Application Programmers Interface. I'm not quite sure why I was, but anyway. And I always got the impression that Windows was this clunky mess. So now you get to see how I run two characters at once underwater. That's entertaining. Took me a bit of practice to get this working. Well, not this bit. This bit's easy. What I used to do for the turtle is I'd run one account, then put it on the beach, and then run the other account. It took me a while, but I finally figured out my coordination so that I could run both characters at once. Yes. Yeah, that's more or less what happened. Fortunately, fortunately, I moved from software engineer back to systems engineer very quickly at that particular location. But talk about an educational experience. So, I'm running two screens at once. How do I take them through the oysters underwater? Well, here you go, handheld. Yes. So, now you can actually see how both work. So here's what you do. You approach with your primary, or one of your primary characters, and you pick up, and then the second one picks up, and then you do the handhold thing, and then you move on, and you don't run out of air. Of course, Luthien, being wingless, doesn't run out of air, but so that's how I do it. Important thing, if you've got the friendship tree up, sometimes you don't, it makes it harder to see the pickup icon there. So you do the handhold, get rid of the friendship tree, move on. Yeah, I majored in what at the time was called computer studies, which I think these days we would call computer science, but I graduated in 1988, and we didn't touch PCs for the entirety of my degree. We were working on VAX 11780s and 750s. The idea that we might go and work on PC systems was, not even vaguely considered. I mean, the PCs at the time were like, well, they were still a developing thing. But my first job after university, not only was I not working on DEC VAX. Oh yeah, you do have to, if you do it separated, you do have a bit of a potential problem. There we go. So after university I worked on IBM, I want to say 360s, but I can't remember for sure. And I was also working on PCs. So the very first thing I did with a PC was take the thing apart and install a Hercules graphics card in it. Which was nerve-wracking because I'd never done anything like that, but I was brought on board to be the self-taught PC guru for a document management system. Am I going the right way? Oops. Okay, I'm going to have to surface in a hurry because I'm running out of air. Okay. Right, where was I? I was trying to find oysters. What I did find very surprising, I don't know what it's like now, but the different software development environments can be very, very different. So the one I ended up in eventually, the software developers were, at least in principle, very, very good, but they didn't know anything about... I mean, they knew how to use Windows, but they didn't know anything about the systems they were developing for. Yeah, I did COBOL. Yeah, COBOL was a fairly major part of my degree. But yeah, I thought it terribly funny that none of the software engineers knew what drivers to use. They didn't know... they didn't know how to install their own development environment. I was staggered. They'd been stuck with a really clunky interface for some of their stuff, and of course the first thing I did was fix it. And I didn't do anything clever. Minor bit of programming, I think. But they could have done it themselves and had a much better development environment, but they just didn't do it. Because they were so inured in this, we are software developers and that's what we do and we don't need to know anything else. That was it. It was... I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, no, that I did COBOL at university. I can't remember what other languages I used, to be honest. In my industrial training year, which was part of the degree, I did VAX Basic and Fortran. Oh, I also did PDP-11 assembly language. But the other interesting thing for me, at least, was that I never really used my degree. The environment I went into, there was nothing in my degree that prepared me for that. So in a way, my degree was a complete waste of time. I'd be interested to see what my son's experience is, because he's currently doing his A-levels, which I think in the United States is roughly the equivalent of high school. So he's 16, and in England he's doing chemistry, mathematics, and computer science. So depending on what he goes into, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of environments he works in. Hello, F1 Edits. I hope I'm reading that correctly. What does who do? I won't completely reiterate what this is about. I'm just doing an experiment. This is actually an experimental live stream. Oh, my son, he is doing chemistry, mathematics, and computer science at A level. Yes. Yeah, I imagine you do. Oh, what was I going to do? I was going to... let's see. I've more or less done that. I've done the turtle. I've done Grandma's. Okay, let's go and finish off Daylight Prairie. Did I pick up these candles? Nope, I didn't. Don't know yet. He hasn't really decided. Basically, I'm not rushing him or insisting that he make a decision. His A-levels are based on what he was good at and what he found interesting for his O-levels. But it's still an interesting balance. There's a lot of directions he could go in with those qualifications. But my son does have some interesting benefits. It seems he's quite good at languages. His best subject before he started his A-levels was strangely Spanish. He was very good at that. That was his highest scoring subject. But he's also got an interesting advantage in that he speaks Cantonese and English because he's half Chinese. And that's that's got potential. Then, you know, not too many bilingual Cantonese and English speakers. Of course, just to make life really complicated, he went to kindergarten in Austria, and so in kindergarten he ended up speaking fluently German and Italian. You can call me Shard. No, Shard, S-H-A-R-D, like the name of the channel. It's not my name, of course, but given that I've pretty much chosen to be as anonymous as I can, Shard will be fine. In fact, the channel name was originally going to be Shards of Sanity, because that's my Minecraft name. Unfortunately, when I went to set out to create this channel, Shards of Sanity was taken, so I picked Shards of Insanity. I just basically reversed it. Well, I like oh grief, there are some complex names that you run across. Anyone who's played Halo will, for example, be familiar with the starship Pillars of Autumn, which I think is a fantastic name. So names like that can be quite descriptive, I find, and interesting. But you may notice, I don't know how often, but occasionally if you see the one of my other screens that are up, it might say Shards of Sanity, and that's because I can't change the name there, and I could. So Shards of Sanity is still around. If you ever watch me stream Minecraft, yeah, and you see my gamer tag, that is Shards of Sanity. It's questionable which one is the more positive name. Shards of Sanity tends to imply that I'm insane with Shards of Sanity, but the Shards of Insanity tends to imply that I am sane with odd moments, I guess. Yeah, I suppose it's an interesting subject, how people come up with their channel names. Yeah, you'd want to try and be distinctive and original, and half the time you end up sounding like a complete klutz. And sometimes there's other reasons for it. There's one channel I watch. The guy who runs it is known as Drakenifel. If you like naval warfare, he's well worth watching. I do happen to know his real name, but I'm not going to tell you. That's not my place. But everybody calls him Drac. There's another channel I know I watch called Gutsick Gibbon. I don't know her full name. I know she's called, her first name is Erica, because she's admitted to that. Oops, wrong one. But yeah, pretty much everyone calls her Gutsick Gibbon, and there's a historical reason for that in her past. She does primatology. I think it's, yeah, I think she's doing a PhD in primatology. Worth checking if you're interested in the evolution of Homo sapiens, other hominids. Do you want to go in through that door? I'll get you in. Yeah. My son and I actually, I set up a private server for my son so that we could both play. I do actually run up the server for myself occasionally. But he's moved on from Minecraft to other games. Oh, hang on a second. I just need to check what that was. Oh, it appears to be some kind of offer from Costa. No, my son's still a gamer, but he hasn't touched Minecraft in a while. To be honest, I haven't really touched Minecraft since I started playing Sky. Well, one day I'll get tired of Sky and go back to Minecraft, possibly. But the one thing about Minecraft I do tend to avoid is public servers. I tend to find the Minecraft community rather toxic. So if I'm playing a game I want to enjoy it, I don't want to have to deal with the toxicity. And that is the great thing about Sky, it has to be said. It's not a toxic environment. Yeah, it's a straightforward thing to do, it's not difficult. The only concern I would have with a Pi is it powerful enough? You may have to find yourself doing base designs that spread out the load, so to speak. That's what I ended up having to do. But if you're not going to be building huge bases and massive redstone devices, then I imagine a Pi would be just fine. Oh yeah, no, at some point I've got to read out the end user license agreement on stream for Minecraft, because the situation with Minecraft is legally extremely complicated. Oh drat, I didn't want to do that. Yeah, one of the interesting things about Minecraft servers is if you have an old computer, right? You can run Minecraft. However, if you happen to have a little spare cache, you can get a second, also old computer. And so you run that second old computer as a Minecraft server, and you will get some significant frame rate improvements by going onto a server. I used to reckon I could pick up 20 frames a second by doing that. Yes, it's irritating. In fact, when I do run Minecraft, I never run it single player. I actually run a server instance on my Linux system, and then I run Minecraft on the same Linux system and then connect to the server. I mean, that works because essentially when you play single player Minecraft, you do actually have a server that you're talking to. My limited observation of doing that, having your player environment and the server on the same computer, it does seem potentially to sort of smooth things out. And I think part of it is because you're encouraging... where are you going? Come here. I did a bit of testing with a server and the player environment on the same computer, and it does seem to smooth things out. And I think it's because the server essentially gets its own thread or threads, and then the player environment gets its own threads, so you're essentially forcing multitasking. I'm not entirely certain how true that is, but it definitely was an observation that your frame rate didn't suffer and may actually be smoothed out. Not necessarily improved, just made smoother. But if you have two computers and one of them's running a Minecraft server, and you have a potato of a computer that you're running your single player environment on, you will get a benefit because you're offloading quite a bit of processing onto that second computer. So yeah, don't ask me to be definitive about it. I'm basically talking impressions. And it's like, whoa, this is smooth. And then, funnily enough, I did actually find a forum thread about it somewhere. And there was also another observation that, running server and client on the same computer smoothed things out, was the way it was put. And I kind of agree with that. I mean, to be honest with you, on a Linux system like this one, that's probably, I doubt I could notice the difference. I once tested this thing just to see how fast I could run Minecraft, and I hit 2,100 frames a second. And this isn't a hugely powerful computer I'm playing on. Yeah. Oh, well, in which case then, you really do have a situation that could be quite favorable to you. Yeah. Yes. I'm sure some of them make perfectly effective servers, or even just for playing movies or YouTube. The second computer that you can see next to me is a relatively old MacBook Air, and I use it primarily for YouTube and playing movies. And you can't see this from where I'm sitting, but right above me I've got an old TV, what's it, 36-inch TV that I use as a monitor for it, so I get a nice big display. Although that is about to be retired because it's huge, heavy, and not very good. I'm thinking of getting a 40-inch 1080p LCD monitor. They're relatively cheap, so yeah. And it's a lot lighter. Right. What was I doing? Oh, I haven't. I haven't done the dailies. Let's go and head for the dailies. Oh, this is funny. This is not a stream I intended to carry on for this long, but seeing as I'm at it, I may as well continue. Yeah. Yes. Handspree is the name, and I'm not sure if I'll get it for Christmas or for after Christmas. My treat to myself, but yeah, I think it's and it's relatively cheap. But then it's only a 1080p. But then let's face it, if you're all you're going to do is play movies and YouTube, 1080p is fine. And if it's far enough away, who cares that it's not that the dots per inch is not fantastic, because it'll work just fine and look cool as well. And weigh about a quarter. Oops, I forgot to visit the hop springs. Well, it's not literally above my head. It's actually over that way. But yeah. I mean, it would be nice if it was a 1440, but with larger screens, particularly, the more the resolution goes up, the price ramps up dramatically. So 1080p is fine, and it's got speakers in it. And you can actually just plug in a USB drive into the side and play movies directly off that. So it's basically sort of it's like a display monitor you might see in McDonald's, that kind of thing. It's essentially that sort of thing, but it's perfect for what I want. It's a TV replacement, and I don't really need a TV. Catch the light in the Valley of Triumph, that's the other way. Race down the slopes with the skater. Oh, and we're getting some stagger there. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, that second account is stuttering. Not on the iPad. Okay, that's useful to know that happens. Yeah, it's definitely stuttering a bit. Alright. Anybody know where the Peking Postman is? Hang on, what did I have to do with that? Oh! Let me guess, it was this one. Yes, it's this one. Yep. I didn't even know it was called the Peking Postman. Yep, found it. Okay, so hang on. I must admit, I don't know. I'm pretty certain Luthien has this, but we'll relive the memory anyway. This is kind of amusing. I had a scheduled live stream this morning. That wasn't very successful. This is proving to be more successful already, so I will continue it. Live streaming is always much easier when you have somebody to respond who responds to what you're saying. Oh yeah, I think she's already got this. Huh. You know, it looks to me like the mirroring might have taken a bit of a hit. Oh, that seems smooth enough. Yeah, no. Oh, excuse me while I hum and haw to myself. Oh, I was one key over from where I wanted to be. Right, what was the other one? Race down the slopes with the skater. That is up the top. Did I pick up this? Oh. Yeah, there is a bit of stutter there. There wasn't when we got started, and now there seems to be. It's kind of funny. The last time I did an experimental live stream was with No Man's Sky, and that one's turned out surprisingly popular. And all I was doing was messing around. So, if I'm right, is this the skater I need to... hang on a second. Is it this one or the one up in Hermit Valley? Hang on, what was the... I don't know that it's this one, is it? Well, well, thank you. We'll give this one a bash, see how this works out for us. I'm not sure this is the right one, though. I think it's the one in Hermit Valley. Oh, no, maybe not. Yeah, this morning's live stream was not one of my more successful ones, it has to be said. Yep, that was the one. Yep, it was this one. I still need to go up to Hermit Valley, though. To be honest, you know, when I started out doing live streams, I had actually tried my hand at doing a Minecraft channel, which doesn't exist anymore, so don't ask me for it. And it is surprisingly difficult to say, okay, what am I going to do making... What the heck? That was weird. I could... So, yeah, no, yeah, it can be interesting planning out something. Say, right, I'm going to do this and I'm going to record it. And yeah, that can be awkward. Doing a live stream has the benefit that if you've got a few people who are responding to you... That's what I was wondering, Alex. I have no idea. it was in my headphones, and everything seems to be normal here, so I got no idea where that came from. I don't have any odd windows open. So yeah, I've got no idea what that was. Very strange. That's the first time I've had anything like that happen. But anyway, yeah, no, doing live streams in a way has its own set of strengths. If you've got a few people you can respond to, you don't actually have to necessarily plan everything out and develop a script or storyboard or something like that. You can simply do what I'm doing now. Of course, if you're like me and you've got something to talk about, that does help. So seeing as we're talking about things to talk about, were any of you around for the last No Man's Sky live stream, where I was talking about flat earthers? There's an interesting situation arising with flat earthers at the moment. Anybody there familiar with the flat earth scene? And let me just add, no, I'm not a flat earther. Well, pretty much what I'm doing, sort of. So I will talk a bit about flat Earth. Not, you know. So there is this whole subculture, of course, about the flat Earth, which has been brought about by the internet. I suspect a lot of the people involved are outright liars, but they found a way of making money till they stick with it. It's a con, basically. Some of them even sound like con men. It's kind of amusing, a bit like some of the young Earth creationists, to be honest. Anyway, so the flat earthers obviously have been desperately unscientific. Everything they do, there isn't a decent scientist or even a mathematician among them. But so they've been, as a group, pretty consistent. And one of the things they do is they've got this map of the flat Earth, which shows things like, the ice wall around the rest of the world, holding the oceans in. But one of their main points, or a large point, is Antarctica. And they get bizarre about Antarctica. You can't go to Antarctica. Armed men will turn you away. None of which is true. And they know it's not true. But the other thing they say is that, it's impossible to have, the 24-hour sun in Antarctica is impossible. And technically, on their model of a flat Earth, they're correct. Except for the fact that there is a 24-hour sun in Antarctica, and people have known about it, and I think you can even see live streams of it. So they've been steadfastly denying that you can get to Antarctica or that there's a 24-hour sun there. And the reason you get the 24-hour sun is essentially because of the tilt of the Earth and the fact that the Earth's globe. Simple. So, oh grief, some time ago, a guy called Will Duffy managed to scrape together some money. I think he's a pastor in Utah. Anyway, he put together something like $100,000 of his own money and offered to take flat earthers to Antarctica to show them the midnight sun. Right, this is now happening. It's going on right now. I haven't seen any feedback, but basically, these flat earthers are there right now, unless something's gone horribly wrong. Now, a lot of the bigger flat earthers have refused to go. But the flat earth community, apart from those that are actually going, are in full conspiracy mode denial. They're denying they're denying that they ever used this particular map of the flat Earth. They're saying that even if a 24-hour sun were observed in Antarctica, it wouldn't mean it was real, and that it would all be faked, and this kind of thing. They are backpedaling so hard, it's laughable. And it's going to be interesting. One of the flat earthers who went down is actually a fairly prominent member. He actually had the testicular fortitude to go and see for himself. But most of the others found excuses not to go, or are currently making up reasons why, even if you see a 24-hour sun in the flat Earth, it doesn't mean the Earth isn't flat. Sorry, if you see a 24-hour sun in Antarctica, it doesn't. They're coming up with hilarious reasons for why, even if the 24-hour sun is observed in Antarctica, it doesn't mean the Earth is a globe. Even though their own, in quotes, models basically say, oh, you can't have 24-hour sun in flat Earth. So they're going to have to frantically backpedal or come up with bizarre conspiracy theories to explain what other flat earthers are seeing right now in Antarctica. And the thing is, some of these YouTube flat earthers make their living from obviously their YouTube videos about how the Earth is flat and all the rest of us are deluded. So it's in their interests, even if they're not con men, if they are suddenly convinced that the flat Earth is real, they've just lost their mainstream of revenue, some of them. Oh yeah, we are seeing some serious lag now in the second screen. I wonder what I can do to fix that. Give me a second. I'm going to get down to the bottom here and see what I can do. Yeah, that's interesting. All right, give me a moment, guys. I'm just going to hang on. Let me just switch off window capture. All right. Let me stop mirroring. It's okay, I'm doing things behind the scenes. It was fine. I'm not sure that I can actually change the resolution on the screen. Hang on. Now, okay, that music is coming from... Okay, so somehow I managed to turn up the volume on the iPad, and I think that may have been where some of the music was coming from. So... I'm not running anything else. I hadn't realized I'd managed to turn up the volume on the iPad, which is disconcerting. So let us try. Right, I hope everybody's still with me. So I'm just trying to sort things out here. I've got smooth movement back on my mirrored display. Well, yeah, to get rid of audio on the... Oh, that went back. Oh, that was interesting. Huh. Well, this is why I'm doing an experimental live stream, so that I can figure out this kind of stuff. So I will try and talk through what I'm doing so that it's not too boring for everybody. But okay, I've got smooth movement back there. So now let me hang on. Where's the Yeah, this isn't being displayed on my system at max resolution, by the way. I've got it in a small window, so it's resized. All right, let's put Windows Capture back. And okay, let's see how that works. And we got smoothness back. All right, how's that looking for everybody? Yes, it kind of did. Even though I'd had the volume turned down, it reconnected, and then the volume was back up. Even though, yeah, okay. But I think that may have been where the music came from. So this is why I'm doing an experimental live stream, so that I can figure this kind of stuff out. Yeah. All right. Yeah, it seems to be. Yeah, that's what we've got smoothness back. So the reconnecting helped. But that's a useful thing for me to know, so that in future I can watch out for it and do the reconnect. All right. Can you all give me a couple of minutes? I need I need a quick bio break, so I'm going to do that and be back. I also need to give my throat a bit of a rest for a couple of minutes. So I'll be right back. Give me a couple of minutes, guys. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I should say, because I don't know everybody who's watching. Right, I'm back. Everything's still working. Let's have a quick look. Yes, yes, it is. Oh, grief, don't tell me. Oh, no. That's... No, I didn't, did I? Why have I got... Oh! Oh, it turns out Luthien did not have this emote. For half a second, I thought she'd picked up a wing. That would not have been fun. But no, it turns out she didn't have that emote. Which is a heck of a relief. Otherwise, this live stream would have gotten very interesting as I try and fix that. But I'm not sure you can, in fact. Nope, wrong one. Sorry. Don't want to do that. There we go. There we go. Right. Okay. So we're back up and functional. Everything seems to be working. What was I talking about? Flat earthers. Come watch Shards of Insanity and listen to him talk about things other than the game he's actually playing. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. The flat Earth thing. Some of them, they really are. I'm always say deranged. Some of their cognitive dissonance is absolutely massive. And none of them are, or seem to be particularly well educated either. But like I say, one of the main problems that they've got is those that actually make money from being flat earthers. It is against their interests to admit that the evidence suggests the Earth is round, which is why they are so hot against what's happening in the Antarctic right now. Yeah, I have a feeling, and I may end up trying it with Nimue. If you've watched any of the Journey of the Wingless, I've hinted at what I might be doing with her at some point, is see if I can fix picking up a wing. I might be able to, but I don't know for sure. One thing you can't fix is picking up wing buffs. That is unfixable. You can't lose your wing buffs, unfortunately. But I might be able to do something about picking up a wing. At some point I'll try it. Unfortunately, I kind of like Nimue as she is, so I'm kind of reluctant to sacrifice her winglessness for the sake of a YouTube video, but yeah, might be useful. On the other hand, it is called Journey of the Wingless, and all journeys have to come to an end at some point. No, but some of the beliefs of the flat earthers are kind of religiously based. You know, some of them will actually claim that there is a dome above the Earth, and that is from Genesis, I think. Some of them will claim that space is not real. You know, that we can't go into space. That everything we see about space is some kind of gigantic NASA conspiracy, which makes no sense whatsoever. What do they think NASA's doing? Or just deliberately lying to them? But and to what end? I don't think they've ever really come up with a decent reason about this. You know, why are so many thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people all working on this big conspiracy to deny that the Earth is flat? You know, because of course you can look at video from the International Space Station, and guess what? It shows a globe Earth, and they deny that that's real. It's all CGI and a big NASA plot because reasons. And so there's two possibilities for that. One is their level of cognitive dissonance is so intense that they literally cannot see the evidence that's in front of their faces. Or they're pulling a massive con, essentially lying, and so therefore, of course, they're not going to admit it, and they're going to come up with all kinds of reasons about why things, yeah. I can't really wrap my mind around it. And of course, the amusing thing is that these people will happily use things like GPS, except they're denying that GPS satellites exist. So I'm not quite sure how that works out in their heads. I think some of them have said, well, it's high-flying aircraft or balloons, but it's like, no, it's not. For heaven's sake, if you've got a decent telescope, you can look at the International Space Station from Earth. Both, Alex. I think they're both. I think some of them just watch them to laugh at them. Not really, you get used to it. You sort of develop the techniques. Even though I can't see the wings, I know where they are, so avoiding them is relatively straightforward. My biggest risk is if I get distracted. But generally speaking, if I'm not doing a wing run, then when I come down here, I always do the same thing. If I'm doing a wing run, that's one thing. But if I'm, if Baron's coming down here, even if she's coming down here solo, she will always go off to the side, like this, to avoid the auto pickup that was back there. So you just develop the tactics to keep the wingless safe. If Thivia is still there, I took her wingless down here yesterday afternoon. Not down here. Yeah, you do get a bit of that, but if you've already picked it up, then it's not a problem. But the other wing is right here. I'm just going past it now. And you just keep well to one side. But, no, I took Thivia to pick up candle cakes yesterday. And that meant we had to go to the Citadel. And then, because we were there, might as well go from the Citadel down through, down to here. Down to the Colosseum. And, Luthien was leading her wingless, and it's easy enough to avoid. You just avoid the wings. It becomes a sort of almost second nature. I can actually do wing runs for other people without being able to see the wings. I've had enough practice at it. I've never tried that. Going backwards from the wasteland. You can go backwards from the wasteland? Ooh. Have to try that. Well, the thing is, like I say, if you develop the tactics, you're relatively safe. I do have one character right now who does have wings, but she started out as wingless. It's neither of these two, and she picked up a wing purely by accident because it was on touchscreen, and I touched the touchscreen in exactly the wrong place, and she picked up a wing. But I've never accidentally picked up a wing that's an auto pickup. Not yet. Of course, having said that, I probably will do so at some point. But you can go backwards from the Golden Wasteland. Ah, all right. I'm going to tell you what. We're going to have to try that. How's that second screen? Oh, the second screen still seems to be working, so reconnecting did the trick. Yeah. I just never gone in reverse. Well, let me just grab the candle cakes. This is actually pretty much going to be my last part. Running through the wasteland to get the candle cakes was the last part of what I was typically doing. So you basically go through this way, huh? Can you go this way? Yep. You could do this with a wingless too. If you've got clouds, you can actually bounce/fly surprisingly well with wingless. Now I'm just going to make sure that my volume is turned down, which it is. Oh, now, oh, up there. Huh, look at that. I've never done that before. What do you know? Thank you. That's an interesting little trick. Huh. That is kind of cool. I'm definitely going to remember that one. Let's find out. Well, yes, you can. Yep. Yep, you definitely can. I've got a suspicion it's faster going home, but that's what I'm going to do now. Yeah, that's a good idea. Learn something new every day. Did I pick up the candle? I did not. Alright, so last thing I'll do is go through the Golden Wasteland and just to pick up the candle cakes, because I've got everything else. I don't necessarily feel like running to Grey. And of course, piggybacking through here is always profoundly useful. I'll just pick up, I'm not going to pick up every little tiny bit. I'll just pick up the major light through here. I hate calling it wax, because you're not technically picking up wax, you're picking up light. But... oh! Did I? Huh! Last I checked, it's still showing me on 46. So does that put me at 47? Oh, heck. All right, now I've got to check this now. Yep, 47 subscribers. Yay! Almost to 50. Yeah, that's definitely one since the start of the stream. Which way was I going? Oh, that's an interesting little bug you've developed there, Luthien. Yeah. Alright, let's see whether or not that's been resolved. Yes, it has. Yeah, it's a glitch. I've seen it more times than I care to remember. Oh, I forgot there was someone ahead of me. They triggered the... So something to watch out for, given that we have both displays up, is when the krill go out of sync between two accounts. Yeah, it also happens at the 8-player puzzle. So here's a question. Let's see if we can see where. All right, we're not. If we're out of sync, it's not enough to notice. Yeah, one thing that does happen, I think I've commented on it before, is again, if you're running not necessarily two accounts, it can be you and a friend. Thivia has experienced this with me as well. Is where one account sees krill is not necessarily the same as where the other account sees it. So, for example, let's have a little look. Alright, right now we're in sync. Yeah, we're in sync. I can see the light in the same places, so both accounts are in sync. But I have seen, with Thivia, as a matter of fact, and with the second account, where there can be quite a difference in location between where krill are. And it can be enough that one of you gets hit by a krill and the other doesn't. Now, of course, if you're running wingless, being hit by a krill doesn't really matter. You know, you've got no wings to lose and you can't die. Ooh, that might not have been the best timing. Let's see how that works out. But yeah, if you're taking a friend with you, it's... Ooh, I might have gotten myself into a tad bit of trouble. Because the other one will be coming through fairly soon. Where's the other one? Okay, should be clear. Oh yeah, I'm good. I know I've piggybacked Thivia into the crab fields, and given her a heart attack because I flew basically straight into a krill, because for me it didn't exist. Not at that position, and for her it did. So if you're helping a friend or a moth through this area, it's always something to be aware of. Okay, I'm clear here. Ooh. Oh, we're good there. Ah! Oh, it's going round to come through the cave, so if I just slip this way, I should be good to go. I will say one thing. Running wingless through the Golden Wasteland certainly teaches you about what you can get away with krill. It's a good way to explore it and essentially start learning their patterns. Yeah, the problem is I always feel guilty. You know, you're taking someone through, you're doing your best, and suddenly your friend gets hit. It's happened with Thivia. It's happened with... I think it's happened with Luthien, actually, but for her it doesn't matter so much. So here we go, let's have a look. Alright, they're basically in the same place, so we're good. But yeah, no, I've seen this where that krill might be, for example, over here for one person and back there for another. Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. It's still quite common to see people playing with the krill. Isn't it, Thivia? Yeah, you can do it. It's doable. It's not something I've specifically practiced, but I've definitely done it. Yeah, you can. This is why I'm always nervous. I haven't done it so much lately, but one of my specialties used to be helping people with wing runs. And doing wing runs through the Golden Wasteland in the 4 krill area. I've got a pattern for doing it, but it's nerve-wracking when somebody's with you. And I do have a very specific pattern that I use for getting wings, those 4 wings in the 4 krill area. Or what do they call it? It's not the battlefield. No, it's the graveyard. Yeah. What I do is I pick up that first wing light near the entrance to the battlefield. Then I go through the tube into the crab fields and pick up the 3 wing lights there. And then I re-enter one of the other pipes. And if I fly high, I can basically dive bomb the wing light on the stairs that lead to the exit, and from there you go straight forward, pick up the wing light on the ledge, and then go round to the right to where there's a wing light in that pipe. And if you get it all just right, you're completely clear of krill the entire way. If you get it wrong, that's embarrassing. Yeah, going through the other way. You see, when it comes to things like that, I always believe in embracing your inner coward. Um, if you don't have to be brave, don't be brave. At least not in a game. In fact, I streamed a wing run this weekend. One of my more straightforward and fastest wing runs. I managed to get 99 wings in about 2 hours 10 minutes. I was pleased with that. I ought to split. I've downloaded it so that I can split it up and maybe kind of do a tutorial. I will say one thing about using Linux for stuff. Can be a bit weird at times. This webcam's working just fine. Getting it set up to that kind of resolution, oh boy. Yeah, that can be fun. If I were to exit OBS right now and then restart it, I would have to reboot, and then I'd have to reboot again. Mind you, from what I gather, Windows 11 has issues with performance even on fresh installs on the same computer. So, you know, take your choice. Right. Unless anybody has any specific requests, I'm pretty much done. I was not expecting to stream for 2 hours. I thought I'd do half an hour, make sure everything was working, and then stop. But I did have a thought. It's not about what to do here. It's about possibly improving. What is it? The mirroring system. Might have to look into that. I think there's some hardware drivers that I can get that might improve that. Not that there's anything wrong with it now, but I wonder if that might have anything to do with the problem. Anyway. Yes, I think I have. I don't like going out of bounds, because you never know to what extent the game engine is going to support it. I'm always nervous that you're going to go somewhere where the system simply throws its hands up and crashes on you. So I'm always a bit nervous about going out of bounds. But I have been to the what do they call it? I called it the Dark Temple. It's the one you see when you light the candles, and you see the two spirits jousting, dueling each other. That's actually a separate structure, so I've been there. But yeah, I've seen that. Like I say, I avoid that. And you never know when that game company is going to decide that going out of bounds is an exploit, and therefore they don't approve of it. Okay. Unless anybody has something specific they want me to do, I am. Okay. I've trying to think. Have I ever had? I've run into trouble accidentally going out of bounds. I had somebody once drop me by accident when they were chibi falling, went out of bounds, and I ended up drowning. But fortunately, I was able to go home. But it's my background as a systems engineer / software engineer. I don't like pushing the system beyond the programmed intent if I can avoid it. Okay. All right, let me reiterate. Is there anything anybody particularly wants me to try while you've got my attention? Because unless you do, I know I'm not going to Eden. I'm not going to take Luthien to Eden. Not today. And I don't really need to run the Vault of Knowledge. How many wings have I got? I've got 247 candles there with 293. And Luthien's got 249 and 305 seasonals. So I don't have to 100% everything. Okay, thank you all so very much for staying with me for so long. I appreciate it. It's always nice to have interaction and people to talk to while I'm doing this. I will. How am I going to shut this down? Oh, yeah, that should be easy enough, actually, now that I think about it. Yes, I got that. Sorry. One of these things, when you're doing this and multiple screens and all the rest of it, is like, how much information do you really want to show? Is any of it going to be personal and this kind of thing? So it's always a case of, what do I do next? What I do next is shut down the broadcast, and then that's everything. So anyway, thanks for being with me. Appreciate it. See you all next time. Tomorrow, if anybody's interested, I will probably be doing the Long Dark. Because that's actually fun to stream. For some reason. See if I can survive another few days. Alright. See you all later.